So here's a few things for you to try to play with in order to throw nice, tight, efficient loops on the delivery. There are a number of ways we can turn this rod over, and like for distance casting we talked about dragging the rod butt and then rotating at the end of the stroke, and for accuracy I told you usually we use the whole forearm and we don't drag, but this is all using the wrist like this. And the other way I told you about using the wrist like you're throwing a ball sometimes. Well, there is another method we can use when making roll casts, and that's instead of using our wrist is to use our elbow for the delivery. And I can get, and everybody I know or have watched can get a very efficient snap at the end of the stroke by using the elbow like this. So instead of casting like this, we're casting like this on the delivery. So I come forward, bang. Something to play with. So one of the keys in any of these D-loop setups is to continually rise with the rod tip, whether that's from a single spey or a snap tee or a double spey. That rod has to come up. One way you can do that is with this thumb. If you're constantly rotating this hand and bringing that thumb inside, the rod tip is constantly rising. So my hand comes around and up, my rod tip is always curving upwards. I'll show you that. So I'm in here, watch the thumb, come around, up. Rod tip always curved up on a spiral. And that's really good if you combine that with something I've just told you, where you want to snap from the elbow, because if you bring your thumb around and up, your elbow is automatically in that position where you can come forward and snap with a rotation. I'd like to give you a tip that I think is very important, and it will certainly help all your spey casts, and that is to start the lift with a straight arm and use that straight arm throughout your sweeps. Yes, when we're fishing sometimes we might not want to do this, but for practicing your casting and for building a nice stroke, it gives you a lot more time if you've got a straight arm to make that sweep, come all the way around and then draw it in as you form the D-loop. I think it's a very good piece of advice. There are a few different ideas in spey casting with regard stance, and it's something I talked about earlier. I talked about using this close stance from on our right shoulder, which helps prevent us turning around too much and losing alignment on the D-loop. And I said that for a lot of people, the mirror image is to put our left foot forward. But there is another point of view, whereas this can be a little bit restrictive, especially if we want to get our rod tip back to form this D-loop. And it's also put out by some instructors, and it's a nice point of view, we should have this same stance here, which should be closed on this side, which is open this side, which actually facilitates us to get our hand back. You're going to have to work that out and see how your body works.